Tamara asks whether a person needs a spiritual mentor, and if so, where to find one. There are teachers and spiritual mentors. I make a subtle distinction between the teacher, the mentor, and the master. Well, a mentor and a master can play similar roles. Here's what I can say from both my past experiences and what I observe in many people today. We have access to an immense amount of knowledge. The internet is flooded with information. Countless books have been published by various authors. Yet no one can truly learn solely from books or the internet. Many try, but it doesn't work. Why? Because direct transmission is crucial. If a mentor is at least halfway realized, they will undoubtedly possess the ability to share and transmit this knowledge directly through personal experience. We can view the entire Himalayan tradition from the standpoint of spiritual knowledge transmission, with the Himalayas representing the pinnacle of everything, the Vedas, God, and the entire spiritual hierarchy. Figuratively, the Himalayas symbolize purity. In this tradition, the method of transmission holds the utmost importance. I'd like to share a very illustrative story, a story of a realized saint who stood before God. He had walked alone. Brahma asked him, "How did you reach this place? How did you find your path, and how did you achieve realization?" The saint replied, "I've been practicing all my life." "Who is your teacher?" The saint replied, "I have no teacher. I've always relied on the internal processes." Then Ishvara turned him around, saying, "Now go back, find your teacher, serve him, and express all your love and devotion for him." In the East, a teacher is revered more than God. A spiritual guru or mentor holds a higher place than God, provided he is a true guru interested in helping the neophyte, his disciple, attain realization. This is why that realized saint had to return to his body and start his journey anew. This is how highly a teacher is valued, because a teacher's or a guru's lotus feet lead you towards realization. You should hold on to them firmly and never let go. I'm being serious. This doesn't necessarily require any physical action. A guru is not someone who sets up conditions for you to serve him. A guru doesn't need your service. It's you who needs it. But your internal guru, who emerges through the external guru, plays a very important role. A true mentor is the one who creates conditions for a disciple to find an internal master, and they move on together. From my perspective, what can I say? I can only share my own experience. I don't think I had truly felt the need for a teacher or guru before this journey began. But I consider myself very fortunate because throughout my life, all my masters and gurus found me on their own. I didn't have to search for them, nor did I even have to question whether I needed them or not. They simply appeared, took me under their wing, and from there, a kind of magic began to stir. This is how my astrology teacher came into my life, how my Vastu teacher appeared, and how another of my spiritual mentors found me. They just came into my life, and the processes began to unfold naturally. As a teacher with 20 years of experience guiding students in various fields and teachings, I often hear the same question, no matter what discipline is being taught. "Yulia, why spend money and time when you can just learn from a book or figure it out by yourself?" I honestly say, give it a try, but it didn't work for me. This is my personal experience. I can't really learn anything from books alone. I need a human guide nearby or some kind of connection with them, a tangible presence. However, it's essential not to deify them, to avoid placing them on a pedestal or turning them into idols, as that is an incredibly dangerous thing to do. As humans, we have a tendency to create idols, but still, without these people, I wouldn't be where I am today. I am deeply grateful to them for not making me question or choose. They simply appeared in my life, and everything that was meant to happen did, naturally. We're ready for the next questions. If there are none, we'll come up with our own. Great. In fact, there are plenty of questions. Most of them revolve around the relationships between men and women. Many are quite fascinating. What is the purpose of interfaith marriages? For example, I'm a Christian and he's a Muslim. And what is the cosmic conspiracy from this perspective? Me?
Yes, please.
Again?
Yes.
Dear friends, there is no such thing as an interfaith marriage. There is only the soul, which exists beyond all religions. It's the mind that puts on airs and seeks ways to express itself. It's the mind that believes it has become Muslim or Christian. There is the cosmic law, and from this law, souls emerge. To put it simply, there is the absolute, the light, from which tiny yet radiant spheres, like stars, if you will, emerge. Then they acquire physical bodies. You meet your beloved because you recognize the kinship, a shared divinity. Therefore, I believe no special attention should be given to interfaith unions. It's a violation of that principle. Well, not exactly a violation, but if you think in those terms, you misunderstand the essence of who you are and the origins of everything, including yourself. Confining yourself within boundaries that inevitably lead to suffering. All religions are products of the human mind. God is omnipresent. The only religion I find acceptable for myself is the religion of love. There are no other true religions. In every faith tradition, the core principle is love. Everything else is supplementary. So in my view, there's no need to dwell on this idea. If you love someone, you have every right to be with them in mutual harmony. Simply enjoy life, love, and create. That is paramount. But also cultivate the right attitude towards what you represent as a couple. There must be God between you, and by the way, that is love.
Yes, I completely agree. Beautiful words.
They truly resonate with me. I'd like to add that it all comes down to the mind. It's the mind that separates and categorizes religions. And it might seem like a problem to you, something that needs to be addressed. But in reality, there is no problem. If you want to be together, you will be together. You'll find a way. You'll adapt. I know a wonderful couple, a man who follows the Vaishnava tradition and his Christian wife. Their relationship is beautiful. They love and support each other even in their religious practices. They have no issues with religions. Questions come from other people who wonder, how do you celebrate religious holidays in your family? Their response is simple. We celebrate all the holidays. What's the problem? The more holidays, the better. I encourage you to look at it from this perspective as well. Now, friends, here's another quick question about relationships. How can I help my man gain confidence in himself? As a woman, well, not me, but the person asking the question, what can I do to help my husband gain confidence? Let me answer that. Yes, Yulia, that's probably more related to Vastu. For me, it's quite straightforward. I'm not going to dive into lengthy psychological or philosophical explanations. I'll simply say, open your east side. In Vastu, the east and southeast are where male energy enters the house. However, the southeast holds a demonic form of fire, while the east represents the divine form. So if your man is struggling with confidence, you should definitely focus on the east and southeast areas of your home, as well as the south sector, which is also connected with male energy. The east should be opened up as much as possible. Introduce elements like copper and red coral. There are many Vastu remedies for this. Help him boost his fire on a micro-Vastu level within his own body. For this, such practices as Surya Namaskar, Kapalbhati, and Bhastrika are excellent. Mantras, such as Bija mantras, associated with fire, can also help. The energy in the southeast and south areas should be stabilized with earth elements. You might place something heavy there like a treadmill, a sofa, or even 50 kilograms of iron. And of course, offer emotional support to your man. You'll soon notice that the Vastu adjustments begin to yield results, and the process will naturally progress. All right, thank you. People in the chat are wondering when we'll get to the questions from the questionnaire. Friends, we've organized all those questions into several groups and have already addressed the most frequently asked ones. We'll do our best to answer as many as we can. Here's a related question from the questionnaire. How can I get my husband interested in Kriya? What can I do to help him move from denial to practicing? Haven't we already answered this? Was this question asked earlier? We've definitely covered it. Okay, people still feel like it hasn't been fully addressed. We've suggested some interesting methods. I'd call it the 25th frame technique. Leave a book on Kriya on the table. 25th frame effect, and he is like Kriya again. And by the 20th day, signs. Are these signs from the universe? I've already mentioned a woman's consciousness holds much greater power than that of a man. This may come as a revelation to some men. Women are more creative and elusive. She is Shakti, a tremendous force. A man who can't harness this power requires transformation. This is why this power begins to transform him. She says, "You must learn to tame me." This doesn't imply any physical action, though. It means he should discover the initial creative power from which life itself emerges. And the man will transform in no time. This is an alchemal process. As he observes the woman he loves, he deepens his understanding of what's going on. If your wife practices yoga, what's wrong about it? After all, she does this for you. She does this for your life to become better. Because if she feels good, if she possesses this power will be inevitably directed towards you. So start practicing Kriya Yoga before it's too late. Thank you. You're welcome. Let's move on to more questions from the questionnaire. I think I'll hand this one over to Yulia. Could you tell us more about what a properly designed home should look like? A properly designed home is one where the positive energies from the entry zones, north, northeast, east, and northwest, are allowed to flow freely and abundantly. It's also a space where you're most protected from the potentially harmful or negative energies coming from the energy exit areas, south, southwest, west, and southeast. Now, don't take my words too literally. People often think like this. Okay, I need to put all the windows on the north and east sides in a big wooden house and have none on the south side. But that's where the sun shines, providing natural light and warming rays during the winter. That's a common misconception. So here's a little secret, a real Vastu life hack that you can take advantage of. You can have a window facing south, even a southern porch, but with one key condition. You need twice as many windows on the north side as you have on the south. So you can have a big window on the south side, but balance it with Vastu corrections. There are plenty possible ways. Install 4 windows on the north side if you can afford this, 3 east-facing windows, and only 1 or 2 south-facing windows to minimize negative energy flows while enhancing the positive ones. This is one of the simplest yet most effective ways. Certain internal corrections will be required as well, because building the perfect house is nearly impossible. Perfection might be out of reach in our modern world, but you can still aim for something close to ideal. Another tip, a C shape of the house, open towards the north or east, is considered the best according to the Shastras. That's another crucial point. But most importantly, and I should have mentioned it first, you can't build a good Vastu-compliant house on a plot that is not Vastu-compliant. Your Vastu construction should begin with the choice of the land itself. There are specific guidelines for selecting land, its quality, the shape of the plot, and even the direction of the slope. If you choose the right plot of land, gods themselves bless your construction and design efforts. But if the plot of land, your macro Vastu, your macrocosm, has multiple imperfections from the Vastu standpoint, all these flaws will be passed on to your future home, no matter how meticulous you are in the building process. This is the second Vastu principle. As in the macrocosm, macrocosm, so in the microcosm. If the land isn't right, no amount of effort will make the house perfect. You could read every book, take every course, follow every rule, and still something will go wrong. You might misalign the directions, or maybe you'll build everything perfectly, only for the neighbors to dig a massive well on the west side or carve a trench on the south. Or a 5-story building will pop up on the north side. That's how Vastu dynamics works. Why does this happen? Why do some people seem to build a new house effortlessly while others struggle to get it right? Land. Start with the land. A bit of karma is involved too, but we know how to work with karma. So in the end, it's all in your hands. All right, let's shift back to astrology for a moment. We have a question for Master. Is it possible to correct the influence of planetary retrogrades in the natal chart? Let me share how I managed to address them. I didn't want to know anything about it. Apologies. First, I took many serious decisions back in the day. By the way, I practiced astrology in a rather professional manner. I practiced several onomancy approaches, but upon embarking on my spiritual journey, I realized that certain issues couldn't be rectified through available means. But I could turn to spiritual practice. I had to face unavoidable circumstances, but still engaged in the spiritual practice. Many things seemed unacceptable to me back then, especially in the roaring 90s, but I dedicated myself to meditation and spiritual practice, and during the most challenging times, I invested even more effort into exercises and practices. In my view, the most effective upaya, which is an act of appeasing planets or harmonizing their influences, that can even involve neutralization or termination of planetary influences, is spiritual practice. This is my vision and my personal experience. If your inner serious determination is backed by knowledge of how to do it, it's even better. But when I practiced back then in the late 1980s, one could be sentenced to 7 years in prison for disseminating yoga leaflets. Today, various books are available. Back then, we had to secretly share printouts, negatives, films. There's plenty of content now to provide invaluable support for you. Take advantage of this knowledge, seek guidance from astrologers, but don't forget that you can effortlessly take control of any issue or process by meditating and communicating with God. You have prayer, determination as spiritual practice, and meditation. These are 3 essential aspects. This is very important. Would you like to add anything? Indeed, I would. How could I possibly overlook retrograde planets? Awareness, after all, is the key to everything. Once you grasp how these planets operate and what extra lessons they teach you, you begin to resist their influence to some extent. The moment you start to practice and meditate, you gradually free yourself from the negative planetary influences. That, in essence, is the challenge at hand. We are now getting to the core of today's discussion. This is precisely why studying astrology or consulting astrologers is worthwhile, to comprehend the rules of the game and ultimately liberate yourself from astrology's sway. An astrological prediction is not your fixed destiny. Your natal chart, regardless of how challenging it may appear, does not dictate your destiny. Available statistical data suggest that individuals who meditate and seriously commit to spiritual practices are affected by intense external transits at least 30%, sometimes even 40% or even 50% less than those who do not. During Saturn's hard transits, the entire world feels its weight. Yet meditators maintain heightened awareness and a sense of peace and endure less suffering. The experience is not so turbulent for them as it is for others. Now many events pull us into a current of turbulence. Meditators remain more serene, more tranquil. Of course, they too are affected by these forces, but meditation is the key to everything. Retrograde planets, meanwhile, signify the need to experience and resolve a bit more karma than others. This is because at the time of your birth, this planet was closer to Earth, allowing it to transmit a larger share of karmic influence to you. But there's no need for fear. Think of it as everyone being given one home assignment while you've been handed 3. It's not a catastrophe. Meditation and spiritual practices can help you correct it. So what's the primary answer to the question of how to neutralize negative scenarios in your horoscope? Meditation. When watching a movie where everything goes wrong, you remain aware of it being just a movie. So watch the movie of your life without getting entangled in the narrative that could make you feel bad. Who are you? Who is this you that feels bad? You are consciousness, multidimensional, omnipresent, and eternal. Through identification with your body, you limit yourself and inflict disease, metaphorically speaking. So it's crucial to realize your true nature. At least you should have a mental concept of it that will ultimately dissolve as well. This is why meditation is our path to liberation. Along the way, be sure to take advantage of the opportunities that the knowledge of astrology, Vastu, or other sciences offers you. If they help you achieve your goals faster, why not? Similarly, we use vehicles to travel faster. If walking isn't an option, take a seat in a carriage and let it bring you to your desired destination. Thank you very much. Thanks for the questions and responses. Here's another question. On the surface, it appears simple, but there's a lot to explore. How can you tell whether a person is meant to be with you? Master, could you comment on this one? If you are unsure, pay attention to how much you love them. If your love is genuine, it becomes irrelevant whether they are meant to be with you or not. Pay attention to the feelings that guide you through life. Some people may say to their friends, for example, "Look, don't marry this woman or this man. They have a multitude of flaws," and so on. But they get an answer. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I just want to marry them because I love them and feel they are eternally mine. Yet in a couple of years, this eternity ends. So soon, doesn't matter. They were to gain this experience. This is their past life issue that was left unresolved. We should resolve it by giving what we still owe. But as your consciousness evolves, you can become aware that although your feelings may be gone, this person is your life partner. And you must assume responsibility, especially as a man. You bear responsibility and develop, supporting and helping your partner. I'm not referring to divorces or family problems. When it comes to feelings, then trust what you feel. Listen to your heart more attentively. Or act like a warrior of light once you've made a decision. Commit fully without distractions. The feelings will emerge along the way. I have something to add. There are questions that almost every astrologer hears time and again. Are we meant to be together or not? Are we karmic partners or not? Is this my destiny or isn't it? Will we stay together forever? And so on. In astrology, there's a field known as astrological compatibility. 99% of people don't really know what it deals with. Most assume that an astrologer will say, "You're incompatible, break up," or "You're compatible, come together," or "You're incompatible, but you've already married? How long have you been together? 3 years? Well, you're completely incompatible. Something may crop up. Think about how to handle it later." Many people shy away from compatibility readings out of fear that they'll be told they're incompatible with someone they love deeply. An astrologer often holds a position of authority in people's lives. Sometimes, instead of following your heart, you find yourself relying on the verdict of an unfamiliar, albeit respected, astrologer. This is why many feel resistance in this regard. Now, allow me to reveal a profound secret about astrological compatibility that no one knows. Ready? Pay close attention. Lean in, closer to the screen. The secret is this: there are no astrologically incompatible people. It's true. The Vedas affirm this. Every person is compatible with every other person to some degree. They must work together to tackle their shared tasks and implement specific transformations to improve their compatibility. If an astrologer claims that you and your partner are incompatible, don't believe them. Everyone is compatible with everyone else. In theory, each of us is compatible with anyone else, although this compatibility may sometimes be temporary. Compatibility defines areas you must address with your partner. The astrologer's role isn't to declare compatible or incompatible, or you're 38.5% compatible. They should say, your overlapping charts indicate that this is where your shared work lies. In this part of your relationship, you might feel a lack of this. She may react to you in this way, and you'll need to cultivate this trait in her or in yourself. She might struggle with you, so you'll have to work on that aspect of yourself. Together you can tackle this. Here's a plan for the next 5 years. Work through these challenges, harmonize your energies, and come back for further guidance. That's how it should be approached. Allow me a few moments to remind you of the principle of service. When you're on a spiritual path, even if disagreements or so-called incompatibilities arise, in fact, it's an illusion because every atom in the universe is interconnected with every other atom, and all souls originate from the same source. What incompatibility can there be? But of course, the human mind is a tricky thing. Some people like apples, others prefer pears. One couple divorced because she liked pears while he liked apples. Isn't it ridiculous? However, we should follow the principle of service. Even if you notice your partner's dissatisfaction, you keep serving them. You nurture an environment for spiritual growth. For this, it's crucial to diminish and sacrifice your ego. In doing so, you awaken your spiritual essence. And your spouse will feel the same because mirror neurons never fail. Yes, it happens automatically. Now, friends, may I pose another intriguing, rather broad question? What is love? How do you see it, Yulia and Imram? How do you feel about it? I don't even know what to say. You've caught me off guard. For me, love is a feeling, a powerful, vibrant emotion. It's this deep urge to start doing everything for that person, to grow and evolve together so that we're both as happy and comfortable as possible. But love for me isn't limited to a specific individual. I often feel love for complete strangers. It's simply a joyful vibration within, a blissful state. It could even be described as unconditional love. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed by the sheer volume of love inside me. And it isn't tied to a man, woman, mother, daughter, or husband. It's just a state, a celebration. A wild, uninhibited celebration of life. Celebrating the fact that we found each other or one another, even if only temporarily. And we can be and create something together, no matter what it is. And from that shared experience, we become more complete, more joyful, more elevated. That's what love means to me. And as I see it, the mind, whether through dogmas, logic, or laws, should never interfere with these processes that have nothing to do with mental ones. For me, love is about being immersed in that joyful, elevated feeling and sensing a reciprocal emotion, a mutual connection. And as Imram says, it's already happened. You look at each other and realize that it's already happened. On the astral plane, you share this energy. That's how I feel about it. Do I need to answer? If you wish. Love is a profound conscious experience of unity with God. This experience channels its power towards the object that evokes a deep sense of compassion, absolute service, or care within you. In other words, it's a focused power of attention, channeled to transmit all your divine power and vibrations to the person you love. If the question pertains to love for another person, love-related questions usually concern romantic relationships. Love can also extend to the world, to others. This is a profound awareness of the divine principle manifested through you, the principle through which you experience your own presence. It is in you, and you are in it. And you channel this energy passing through yourself towards the object of your focus. It's a continuous flow of attention, a sustained connection with that object. It may sound complex, but understandable. Thank you. Thank you for the answer. There are many questions coming in about destiny, about life's calling. Could you please advise on how to find your life's calling? Perhaps through Kriya, perhaps through Vedic astrology or Vastu? Could you both share your comments? The author of the question does not direct it to one of you specifically. I'll share philosophical perspective, but I know Yulia can offer plenty of insights on this subject. From my standpoint, I wouldn't suggest that people go out of their way to search for a specific career or life path. After all, the interests and areas of knowledge we're naturally drawn to in this life are often echoes of our past experiences. They reflect your previous pursuits. Throughout our numerous lifetimes, we accumulate experiences leaving an imprint that we carry from life to life and that shapes our current tastes and aptitudes. It's as if we were replaying the same scenarios time and again. I believe that every person is born with infinite potential. Any child who enters this world is capable of becoming anything. They may show an interest in music, painting, or another passion early on, but that doesn't necessarily define their life's purpose. The true purpose of life is to discover oneself. I always emphasize this. On the path of self-discovery, as you ascend and awaken the conscious knowledge within your centers, these centers open up, allowing you to become a musician, an artist, a healer, or simply a wise person. A jnani is a wise person who possesses all qualities. That's why I wouldn't limit myself to any particular life path. It would feel boring. God is manifested within a human being because he can be universally expressed. People are born with specific inclinations or aptitudes. This is where astrology comes in. Let me follow up. Indeed, the Creator is endlessly creative. He possesses everything, all forms of energy, all types of activity that he manifests through us. To be honest, I'm not particularly fond of the word destiny. I think it confuses most people. It creates this rigid idea, yes, that there must be a singular preordained path. Many even exploit this belief. Come, I'll reveal your destiny. Some Vastu practitioners, for example, say that the position of your front door dictates your destiny. But if there are 8 possible positions for a door, can our entire destiny really be reduced to only 8? Or maybe 16 or 32 outcomes? That just doesn't make sense. In astrology, we often refer to the 10th house of the horoscope, which traditionally represents career. A planet positioned there might give us a clue. Venus, for instance, suggests a focus on beauty, while Mars may guide someone towards security or construction agencies. But this approach feels incredibly restrictive. This is why we can expand it. In truth, your horoscope contains not just 1, but 3 houses connected to careers and activities. They could offer additional insights. For more detail, you can also consult a divisional chart dedicated to professional life. Interestingly, when people come to me for a consultation and ask, "What is my destiny?" I know what they're expecting. They're hoping to hear something like, "Your destiny is to save the world." And they would reply, "Ah, to save the world? I knew it, brilliant." But I might say your destiny is shaped by Rahu, for example. I see Rahu in Cancer in their chart. Rahu is one of the key indicators of one's path in life. And I say your destiny is to create a loving family and cultivate a warm and harmonious home environment. Imagine I'm telling this to a man. His reaction? A family? Well, I've already got a family. I was hoping, and I asked him, what were you hoping to hear? That your destiny is to run 3 businesses? No, just something big. Sometimes I tell people your destiny is to learn to enjoy life. They might look at me in disbelief. There's something wrong with her. I'm supposed to save at least 20,000 children, build schools, temples. Most expect me to say how heroic they are destined to be. But to me, true purpose is often something much simpler. It's something for your soul. It's your unique experiences. These experiences are never fixed. They shift depending on what you've been through, the knowledge you've accumulated, the apartment you live in, and the planetary cycle you're in. For example, if your home faces south or southwest, you might gravitate towards certain professions. But if it faces north or northeast, your career path could be different. It's something we see all the time. I'm sure you've heard these stories. Someone spends 20 years working as an accountant. Then they begin practicing yoga and become a yoga instructor. Looking back, you'd hardly recognize the person they used to be. Or take someone who devoted their life to one profession, only to abandon it entirely in favor of something completely different. I know this from experience. I've counted the number of careers I've moved through in my life, more than 10 already. When I was younger, people would look at me and say, something is not quite right with you. You switch careers so frequently, virtually every 6 months. It seems interesting. I want to explore. I enjoy it. But they insist, but you're just skimming the surface. You must pick something and stick with it. But 10 or 15 years later, once I had, in their eyes, succeeded, the same people start saying, you had a cunning plan. From the very start, you knew exactly how to build your career and achieve success. You were always so purposeful in chasing your goal. I had no plan. I didn't design anything. How is it even possible? My only secret was simple. I pursued activities that I enjoyed, whatever sparked my interest in that moment. I had no idea if it would lead anywhere, if it would amount to something, or even if it would make me money. I simply did what I loved. I could feel my heart beat faster with excitement when I was practicing astrology, for instance. So I practiced. That was all. If you can walk the true path of your heart, the path of your dharma, if we can equate the two, without being weighed down by the beliefs and constraints that society imposes, which unfortunately only seem to grow heavier with age, then no mental barriers will stand in your way when choosing the profession you love. You will thrive in it, and everything will naturally fall into place. Later, you'll be able to transition seamlessly into something new. But often people get stuck in this mindset. I am struggling to find my path to self-realization. There's too much overthinking, too many doubts. It will take forever to learn. It won't make money straight away. It's too unstable. I'm too old for this. I don't have the right look for it. This career isn't meant for someone of my nationality. Apologies. Another nationality does it better. So many illusions, so much nonsense swirling in our minds. These are the very things that hold us back. If you simply say, I love flowers, so I'll open a flower shop or become a florist, and I won't stress too much about my karma or dharma, it may turn out that this is precisely what's written in your chart. This is quite possible. That's why I support this approach. Friends, we'll be wrapping up slowly. I'd like to speak to those of you watching us now. I want to thank you for being here with us. We'll pick one more question for Yulia, one more for Imram, and then we'll conclude. If you'd like to say thank you for this event and the opportunity to connect, just leave us a heart in the comments. It will be much appreciated. Let's share a little kindness so that everyone feels good and warm. Yulia, here's an interesting question about Vastu, one that many women watching us have been asking. In the context of Vastu, what can women do to strengthen their health, foster personal growth, and deepen spirituality? Can you offer any corrections or recommendations? This will be the final question for you. Well, fortunately, the sectors associated with women's health and spirituality align, so I won't need to discuss multiple areas. They are the same. The direction associated with feminine energy, which intriguingly also relates to spirituality, is north and northeast. Many of the challenges women face, including health issues, struggles to find a spiritual or creative path. Self-realization through creativity, love, and financial difficulties can often be traced back to the north and northeast areas of their homes being too closed off. The northeast in particular is the area of the highest deities and the purest vibrations. If a toilet is located in this area, one of the most polluting influences, it disrupts the flow of these vibrations, preventing them from guiding us onto the right path. By Murphy's Law, when these feminine energy sectors are closed off, the southwest and south tend to be open instead. These areas are quite challenging as they are associated with unexpected negative events and frequent shifts in circumstances. This often manifests as a cycle of job loss, disillusionment with beliefs, teachings, or practices, and a constant search for new ones. You may find yourself drawn to wrong gurus or ineffective practices that yield no results. This is closely related to the closure of the north and northeast, the feminine energy sectors, since they influence health, particularly female hormones and mental well-being. We know that the moon governs the mind, and in Vastu, it is associated with the north, northeast, and to some extent the northwest. So if you have the opportunity to choose your living space, it's ideal to ensure that the northwest, north, northeast, and even the east are open, with windows, balconies, or extensions in these directions. This is beneficial for both men and women. Try to avoid, as possible, apartments facing south, southwest, or west, as these require significant corrections which can be quite difficult to implement. These are the key sectors that support women's health and spiritual well-being. Interestingly, when people move into a home facing north or northeast, fortunately, they are often naturally drawn to spiritual practice. They get on the right path, encounter the appropriate spiritual support, and receive the guidance they need. This is the subtle magic of the North and Northeast. I also want to personally thank each of you for the many questions you've submitted. Thank you very much. We had many questions relating to Imram's and Yulia's perspectives on various esoteric practices. These practices included tarot, numerology, and similar disciplines. To be honest, these topics have already been discussed on Imram's YouTube channel that I encourage you to visit. Now I'd like to ask one final question that I find particularly intriguing. Master Imram, please explain the different polarities of the subtle bodies of men and women. If I delve into polarities now, you might slip back into duality and develop a concept that could hinder your progress. Let's adopt a higher perspective. You have come here as an embodiment of divine love. Essentially, you are nothing but consciousness. Is there any inherent polarity within consciousness itself, be it male or female? When you sleep, do you perceive yourself as a man or a woman? Why use the example of sleep? When you sleep, only pure consciousness remains, devoid of awareness of your own presence. When you sleep, you transcend the limitations of the mind's constructs. If we delve into the concepts, we risk confusing ourselves and diminishing our true nature. The ultimate goal of yoga, meditation, and life itself is to transcend concepts and limitations, to go beyond this symbol that we consider ourselves. I am, I exist, whether as a man or as a woman. You can live your life embracing the role of either a man or a woman, but it's important to always realize and remember your true nature. You can assume the role of a man or a woman, but never forget that you are essentially consciousness. Without this understanding, you will inevitably face challenges in life connected to your perception of yourself as either a man or woman. This is why I consider it my responsibility to help you navigate through life following other principles, those that accentuate your cosmic nature. Soon the time will come for you to leave the unipolar world forever. Your physical and other bodies will disintegrate, leaving you with only your consciousness. What will you do at that moment? Who will you be? You are an embodiment of divine love. Realize that you are consciousness and experience life through the lens of this consciousness, and it will be absolutely irrelevant for which body you inhabit or what you do. It will be irrelevant for you whether you are capable of certain things or not, because you will never view your life as lacking. You are self-sufficient beings. This is the purpose of meditation. To achieve this self-awareness, we meditate and focus all our attention on the lotus feet of the Guru. And where are the lotus feet of the Guru? They are a symbol of consciousness that you essentially are. So direct your attention to these lotus feet, which are just above your mental plane. This represents your awareness of the one who observes your life. You continuously observe, acting as a witness to what unfolds around you. Shift your focus entirely to the one who is observing and meditate on the one who is meditating. This way you will avoid difficulties and such questions. However, if you choose to stay at a lower level and fall into oblivion, you might identify as a warrior of light, a yogini, or a yogi, striving to develop yin to become a goddess, or develop yang to become a god, embodying Shiva and Shakti together. It is a very long journey. Why not take a higher perspective and recognize that you are consciousness? Then you can harness all these energies. This is nothing but prana, expressed as 5 energies that form the entire universe. As consciousness, you control this prana. The goal of yoga is to control prana, to control the 5 elements that create the multifaceted nature of this process. This is why I teach Kriya Yoga with the only purpose, to help people ultimately remember their true essence. It is a task, an experience, a living process. In Kriya Yoga, 1 breath equals 1 year of evolution. With time, Kriya practice leads you into an altered state of consciousness, where you realize that your predestined number of breaths, each one imbued with prana, can be dedicated to the evolution of your consciousness and acceleration of the process. Each breath, in and out, can be dedicated to your evolutionary growth. In advanced Kriya Yoga, 1 breath is equivalent to a year of your evolution. Thus, Kriya, as a spiritual practice, will be fully integrated into your life. You breathe at every moment of your existence, but you can also breathe consciously and make it into a distinct practice. Thus, you will accumulate all these energies, directing their flow towards consciousness, awakening it, and recognizing your divine nature. In doing so, you will also gain control over astrology. As you traverse all 12 zodiac signs, ascending and descending through the 6 chakras, you go through 1 year of evolution. You will also gain control over planetary influences and dependencies. You will transcend these dependencies, and through spiritual practice, nullify your astrological prediction. You are consciousness, and you meditate on the prior consciousness that you are. I sincerely wish for everyone to achieve this state. It is not difficult, not necessarily easy, but also not difficult. Always remember that you are consciousness. This is, in essence, God. Thank you. This is truly profound. Actually, there is one more question. Master Imram, people are insistent, writing from all directions and asking. This will really be the last one. Now the final question, and we are really wrapping up, friends. We are already falling behind schedule. Master, could you please explain how to recognize the true Shakti? Recognizing the true Shakti? To recognize the true embodiment of Shakti, one must truly embody Shiva. However, this is itself a concept. In essence, every female is an embodiment of Shakti. If Shiva is immature, Shiva understood here as a man, or merely a simpleton, he will fail to see Shakti in a woman. Most people approach this question conceptually, concentrating on the external qualities of a man or a woman, whether they find them appealing or not. Their consciousness resides within the Manipura, Svadhisthana, or Muladhara chakras. If you elevate your consciousness and perceive the divine energy and essence in someone, even if they appear ordinary or not conventionally attractive, though there are no unattractive people, the external appearances will no longer matter. There's a case that I shared with my disciples. A yogini, a woman in her late 50s, had young men captivated by her presence. They were unable to detach themselves from her because she possessed immense power and energy. She was true Mother Shakti. They were drawn to her not by lust, but by the pure, powerful energy she exuded. Consider Anandamayi Ma, a saint who was revered by people of all ages and attracted visitors from all around the world. What attracted them? The divine, powerful radiance of her love. Love is what attracts people. Age and physical appearance are entirely irrelevant. Consider Satya Sai Baba in his physical form. In photographs, he might seem quite unremarkable. Some people are surprised. Is this God? Is this how he looks like? He looks very strange. But those who attended darshan, could any one of you have thought that his appearance was unattractive? This is incomparable, indescribable beauty. Beauty underpinned by a profound sense of light, spirit, holiness, sincerity, absolute purity, and unconditional love. So embrace the principle of viewing every female as a manifestation of Shakti, of Divine Mother. No matter her age, it is absolutely irrelevant. Treat all females as goddesses, as divine mothers. Then you will feel that you are treating everyone in this manner. For women, it's advisable to regard men similarly, as embodiments of the Father. In this way, you will avoid difficulties. But if you're seeking your Shakti, you should cultivate your inner Shiva, and she will be naturally drawn to you. Create magnetism by engaging in spiritual practice, both female and male aspects. Awaken feminine magnetism, masculine magnetism, and spiritual magnetism, not biomagnetism. And then the two palms will meet, and everything will fall into place. Thank you very much. Thank you. Friends, thank you for being with us today. Thank you for all your questions and for your attention. There's been so much support from all of you. Master Imram, everyone is expressing their gratitude in every possible way, because it was truly phenomenal. People are asking you to hold such sessions more frequently. They're asking you to visit their cities to speak more often, and wish to engage with you as much as possible. I want to express my gratitude to Yulia for making all of this possible. This was her initiative, and her Shakti that inspired me to participate. I love you all dearly, and my care for the world and for you is reflected in my sincere meditation and prayers for everyone who enters my field, who wishes to join me in practice and reach the sublime. Jai Saram. Thank you, friends. We are wrapping up now. Goodbye, everyone.